Good morning, everyone. It's Lori. I'm coming in a few minutes late. I apologize. I was doing some work in my studio today and I totally laid my phone down while I was moving boxes and couldn't find it. So it took me a few minutes to find that. But if you are on, give me a shout out, a like or a love to let me know. And I am actually looking at the live on my page. So we'll have to see if I can see comments. Good morning, Jerry. Oh, I see that comment. Yay. Let's see if we see any more comments before I start. Otherwise, I'll flip over to the other view. And I will share this over on my VIP group as well. So it was actually chilly here this morning. How about where you are? Okay. Looks like everything might work here. We'll see if anybody else joins us. I know I was a few minutes late. Somebody just posted that normally watches and said, "Are you okay?" I am okay. I am just fighting the clock today, right? That happens every once in a while. Hopefully she'll find me. Okay. Let's see. I do have a couple of things to talk about. Oh, and I think it just now told people that I was live. So there you go. Go figure, right? That is a problem, I think. And I think that's because of the streaming. Hey, Thelma. Yes, I am okay. I told them I was moving things around in my studio this morning and putting away stuff for yard sale and that kind of stuff. And I laid my phone down amongst all the boxes. I couldn't find it. So I was a few minutes late hopping on. I apologize. But I am here now and I'm glad to see you all are here. And I am actually seeing your comments. So that is awesome. It looks like the bug that they had created for us is fixed. Although now it's not exactly telling me how many people are watching, but we'll figure it all out at some point, right? We'll just let Facebook do its little thing. All right, so we're gonna get started here. I did find a gift, or a prize, I should say, for Tuesday's video, right? That's where I shared how to create the stamps that we're going to use today to make some cards. I appreciate it. I do. I really do appreciate that, Thelma. This is a sampler pack of the Flowers for Every Season designer series paper that retired in the last catalog. This was one of my favorite designer series papers that we had last year. I just loved all of the patterns in it and all of the colors. It goes very well with the 2020-2022 in color bundle. And so the winner of this is Sheila. And Sheila, I don't know if you're on or not, but you are the winner. And I'm going to see Lisa next week. So if that works, I can get it to her. Otherwise, let me know. And by the way, Sheila had a birthday yesterday. So very happy birthday to you. Or I guess very happy belated birthday to you. Hey, Connie. Hi, Ashley. Welcome, welcome, guys. Okay, so if you remember, or if you haven't had a chance, definitely go back and watch Tuesday's tip, because during that, I shared how to create stamps from your die cuts, right? Your dies. So there's a lot of iconic, you can see this whole section here is all from the iconic dies, which I can't wait. I've been playing with the branch, but now I have some ideas floating around in my head for the mushrooms and the fern. And then I did from the sunflower, which I might have showed you on Tuesday, both the sunflower itself and then the little leaf branch, whatever you want to call that. Of course, I did make on that Tuesday tip the ones from the Sail Away, right? Those dies. And then this one is from Seascape. It's that beautiful coral die cut that's in Seascape. Let's see, I think I have one of the Just Cards has that on it. Yeah, it is this one. Okay. So be sure to check out Monday video because you'll see maybe a project using that particular stamp that I made. But we are going to start with the, good morning, Marlene, thank you. We are going to start with the sunflower. So this entire piece of background paper was created with, good morning, Stacy, with the stamps that I made from the die cuts. How cool is that? All right, so let's start with that. We're going to need both of these pieces. Thank you for sharing, ladies. I so appreciate that. And this box is packed full of goodness. So we are using, of course, the Celebrate Sunflower. Okay, and then the dies. This is where I got my die cuts from to create into stamps. And then happy thoughts. I'm going to use it hard. I'm going to use it really hard because it's going to go away in just, what is today? The 17th, 13 days. So if you don't have it, you have 13 days to grab that set. I'm telling you, you will reach for that set over and over and over again. So those are the two stamps that we're using. I'm also using, you see these cute little cutouts in the corner of our focal image? That is the trio punch. So you get 3 punches in one on this, and it's all laid out for you, and each side has a guide for your paper to put it in there. So that we're using that punch, and of course I'm using the pick-a-punch for the greeting down at the bottom. All right, so let's go ahead and get our pieces mounted. And you know what? I told you this. Oh, and I'm going to break my own rule. I never trimmed this one down, so let me take these points off. You don't really want to have sharp points on your window sheet that you're using to mount, right? So that you have a piece that you can mount onto the clear block. And I was reading the comments very quickly this morning before I decided to move around things. Somebody, and I don't remember who, I apologize, somebody asked me if you could use adhesive sheet on the back of the die cut instead of the Tombow liquid glue, right? So on the back of your fun foam that you're cutting out. Again, you would want to put that on before you die cut it, obviously. And my best answer to that at this moment is to give it a try. I haven't tried that, but it might work. It's a little bit thinner than putting the window sheet on there before you cut. So you could absolutely try it. Again, remember, one of the keys to creating those stamps from the die cuts is that you only roll it through once. You don't roll it forwards and backwards in your machine. Because then it kind of feathers the foam and you don't get the detail that you would like to have, right? So just keep that in mind, but you know, give it a try, and if it works, please post here and let us all know. Well, hello, Miss Janine. How are you? Oh, thanks, Connie. I'm glad you guys like it. Okay, so our card base is just jade. And then we have a layer of bumblebee. I'm gonna leave that drawer open because I keep opening and closing and it's probably making a noise for you. I'm getting close to the end here, I think, on the seal. I always run out of seal when I'm live with you guys. And that is just 1/8 of an inch smaller than our card base. So 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp that background with our stamps. So I have that. I'm big block for our sunflower. And we're going to put, and I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to trim off some of those points because again, I don't want it to pick up ink. You know, it's just kind of like when we used to have to cut our stamps out. We tried to trim it close to the image so that we didn't catch an edge, right? Same concept here with your window sheets. You don't want to catch an edge and have stray ink on your project. All right, so we're using Bumblebee and Just Jade. Oh, well, nice. Thanks for stopping in. And just like any large stamp, even these that we create from the die cuts, we're going to take the ink pad to the stamp. I didn't even look at the back of the fun foam when I started cutting, and that's the sticker that was on there. Isn't that cool? I mean, it's a beautiful image. It's a great image. And you know, as you can see, because I obviously created the sample for today, you can use the stamps over and over and over. Remember to use your chamois to clean them. That was another question I got asked, I think, was how do we clean them? And it's with your chamois, right? I would not take these across a cleaning scrub pad for two reasons. One, I'm not sure you want the fibers going into the fun foam that's in the cleaning pad. It could put impressions into your fun foam, and then you wouldn't get the best image. But the other reason is I'm afraid, because depending on how vigorously you scrub on the cleaning pad, you might end up with taking it off, you know, pulling it off of your window sheet, which is how you're attaching it. I'm always shocked how dark Just Jade is. This one I need a little bit skinnier, so we're going to come in the other way and fill in. I had club last night, and we were doing a background on a project, and they wanted to know which image to start first with. So I always start with the largest image when I'm creating a background, just because you can always come back into your smaller spaces and fill in with the smaller stamp. Right, so I think that looks good. I'm not too worried that I got a little light here and I have this hole, because I'm going to put a focal image over top of that. So no worries there. That's going to get mounted right on there. I'm going to let that sit for a second or two while we work on some of the other pieces. Got a lot of pieces to it. So again, Just Jade, I'm just mimicking the card base with the focal layering, right? We're starting with Just Jade. We're going to put a layer of Bumblebee on. I'm carrying those core colors the whole way through. So when you're designing, if you're struggling with what colors to include, it's not quite what they call a monochromatic card, but you're just repeating the core colors. At Michael's is where I got the fun foam. I'm pretty sure any craft store will have fun foam in it. Good morning, Dawn. But I also have seen it like at the dollar stores. Now, I can't vouch for if it's the same thickness or anything at the dollar store, but it's certainly something to check out if you don't have, you get it at Hobby Lobbies or Michael's. Yeah, that's what I thought. AC Moore used to carry it. Was kind of in with the kids section, but I had done, this goes back a lot of years. I was a relatively new demonstrator, I think. For a 3D swap that I was in at convention one year, I found fun foam visors, right? And they were in the kiddo section. And at the time we had a really cute, fun, no, that doesn't go in there, fun beach set that had cute little images in it. And I'm looking for my leaves. I took my heat gun. So here's another tip to do with your fun foam. I took my heat gun, I heated up the foam, and then I stamped. Now these were rubber stamps at the time. I stamped the stamp down into the heated foam and let it sit there till it cooled, and it put an impression into the fun foam. So you can try that technique too if you're out buying fun foam. You just never know what all you can do with what we've got, right? All right, so we have light and dark Just Jade that we're going to color in the leaves on the sunflower. This is the small sunflower stamp from that set. So anybody have big plans for the weekend? I'm going to take my light cinnamon cider to do the inside. Let's do that with the brush tip. And then we'll do the center in the dark. And then I keep forgetting that we don't have a, hey, yeah, Connie, I'm gonna text, I'll message you here on Facebook when I get off today. I just have to ask you a quick question. We don't have a bumblebee blend, right? Nice, Ashley, congratulations on your 50th wedding anniversary. That is awesome. So we don't have a bumblebee blend, and I'm like, okay, I don't want daffodil because we also don't have mango anymore. So I thought, well, let's start layering and see what I can come up with. Second shot on Friday, yard work. I hope it doesn't either. Which one are you getting? Oh, okay. They're going to a festival. Cool, Betty. Wow, that's great, Thelma. That'll be, so how many is the whole family? How many folks will you have? So I lay down a layer of light. This is light crumb cake. Yep. We're going to lay that layer down all over. So yeah, we don't have a crushed curry. We don't have a bumblebee. I'm not even sure if we have a so saffron. I always think we do, and then I'm always surprised when I go looking for the yellows. We might have a so saffron, but that would be a little too light. But by layering these two together, I think I got pretty close to bumblebee. So, I mean, again, with your blends, right, they're alcohol markers. They're not going to bleed into each other. So try different combinations to see if you like what comes up. I'm going to do this with my bullet tip because I can move a little faster with that. And your color, and too, remember that if you try something, you're like, oh, I don't think I like that, let it dry completely because the colors do lighten up. I mean, that cinnamon cider lightened up significantly in the center of our flower. But I looked at the bumblebee and I tried to figure out what the underlying tone was. Was it a gray? Was it a brown? Was it a rust? And I came up that I thought it was a brown. And so I just got lucky in that I thought, okay, I'm going to work light to dark because I also thought about soft suede, but I started with the crumb cake, and this one to me, I didn't feel like I had to go any further to find a better match because I felt like this one really pulled it all together, right? What do you think? Yeah, just looks like a lighter shade of that to me. So that is a light base of crumb cake, and then the bumblebee, no, not the bumblebee, sorry, the daffodil delight, the dark daffodil delight on top. Still camping, no dogs, so I may do paper pumpkin. Oh, there you go, that's a good idea. And Thelma said it used to be 50 or more, but has decreased a little over the years. Kids grow up and go in different directions, like a kid moving to Texas. Who could we possibly be talking about? Okay, so we're going to take our piece, corner. The guides are right there. It stops me. I know I don't have to go any further. The one thing that is tricky about this punch is you would think, okay, I'm using this corner. I'm going to press on this corner. No, we're going to press right down in the center. Okay, just turn it to every corner, press down in the center. And one more. And it's evenly spaced for you from the edges. It's great. So the other, let me grab a scrap here. The other images that you get on this is truly a scrap. This is just a corner rounder. So if you like having rounded corners, even in scrapbooking, right, for your pictures, it does a really nice job of rounding that corner. And then this, I don't know if I'm going to get away with this one since it's just a little scrap of something. No, I didn't do that right. Let's give me another piece. Let me get another piece here. Here we go. So again, I've got paper guides here. What's going on? That will let me get. So this one is on the side. Yes, that would be my problem, I think. And it creates a little hole that you could slide your ribbon through. So if you wanted to just bring the ribbon around across your focal point, you could do one on each side and then put your ribbon through there and have it run across. So a really fun little punch. You can also make lots of confetti with it, as you can see. That little circle or that little oval that we just did makes a cute little piece of confetti, and you can do that in all different colors. Send that to someone who just would love you for it, I'm sure. All right, so we have this piece done. We're going to go ahead and mount that. And then, let's see, where's my tag? We've got our tag here. So I went ahead and did these two pieces because this piece width is 3/4 of an inch, which is one of the layers that you can use with the punch, right? It's a 1/2 inch, 3/4, and a full inch. And this one is a full inch. So that was okay, but I felt like I didn't want that much green showing, that much just jade. So I actually cut this piece to 7/8 of an inch. And I can slide that in there. Then what I do is I just turn it over and I look at the back and I do my best, because it's not laying in an actual groove, right? I do my best to center that and I punch it. And then I flip it around and I do the same thing. So it almost would fill in the 1 inch punch because it's 7/8 inch. But again, it's not going to be perfect when you get it to the back here. And so you just want to flip it over and eyeball it. And there we go. So now I actually created a extra layer in there that the punch doesn't really give you the guides for. But if you want a smaller border, it works out beautifully. We are going to stamp the "Let's Celebrate You" on here. That is in the Just Jade. And this really does go right end to end. So I am hoping that I get this. I'm going to use my grid paper to line up my punch out, and I'm stamping away from me, so we don't know what we're going to get, but here we go. Ooh, I'll take it. And you know, it's funny because the L's go up and the Y comes down. So you have to have a wide enough piece to accommodate that. And it almost looks like you stamped it off center. But you didn't. I mean, that's exactly how we would want it, because all of your L's are on and you got the tail of your Y on. So that's pretty cool. Now that I didn't get centered for sure. All right, somebody post a comment for me because I'm wondering if it's froze, if it froze up on me again. Or maybe you're just so intrigued by what I'm doing that there's no new comments to see. And now I went too far the other way. Okay, good, I see him. Thank you. Thank you, Marlene. Yeah. Oh, you gotta love Facebook. Yesterday I was learning to make thumbnails. I'm telling you, for YouTube. It is never a non-technology day in my world. Thank you guys. Yes, it's still working. So that's good. Hopefully that means that they did get it fixed, because they were doing a lot of changes. They're changing the entire way that I will be able to post going forward. I won't be doing it within the actual Facebook. I have to go to a special studio app and all of that. And I think that's what they've been working on. And so, you know, I mean, I've worked enough in jobs where I relied on systems and that type of thing and helped to implement systems that sometimes if you don't do non-change testing, you definitely end up breaking something else while you're trying to create something new or fix something. So, but it sure is frustrating for the user. It was in my world then, and it is in my world now. All right, so we've got a little knot down there. Oops. There we go. We are going to put our focal image on with some dimensionals. We've got pieces and parts here, or the bones, as we call them. Be very careful if you're snipping like I just did. Oh, you had internet problems yesterday? Yeah, I got up this morning and I couldn't connect. So I thought, oh dear. That's why I didn't post that I was going to be live until somewhere between 8 and 8:30 till it got itself worked out. And I now see where we're having power outages in town. So I don't know. All right, so we're going to put this down right here, ideally straight. And this is also done with a few dimensionals. But yeah, be real careful because you can snip your fingers. I've done it. I try to do all the boo-boos and mistakes for you so I can give you a heads up versus you having to learn the hard way like I do. At least that's my story and I'm sticking to it. All right, and we're going to put this right underneath like so. And then the last thing, and I saw them, but where did they run to? Okay, well, the last thing I was going to do to the card front was put, oh, there they are, was put some genial gems on. This is one of my favorite new embellishments in the annual catalog. Grab my take your pick tool. And they do come in 2 colors and 2 sizes. So it gives you lots of variety. I don't know why I'm trying to do it that way. Oops. And then we're going to just put one down here on the greeting to make sure that we have an odd number. Yeah, I haven't had them, but downtown is having them like every day. They're not long apparently, but they're having them every day. So who knows what's going on in our world. Okay, so there's that. And then the inside of the card is just the happy birthday from the Happy Thoughts in the Just Jade. I'll stamp that off to the left so that I have room to come back in with my big sunflower. Thanks, Ashley. And you still have a place to sign your card. Put that on the inside, and we have this one done. definitely coming to the end. All right, there it is, project number 1. And I do love those gems are the perfect. They're just clear with some gold glimmer in them, but they're the perfect accent for on the card. Just gives it a little bling, right? Okay. All right, let me just move the dirty stamp so I don't end up laying my hand or my project pieces in them. And then we're going to do another one where I used the fun foam stamp. So this is using the iconic dies for our bird and our stamped image. We're going to grab that. They do like to attach themselves to each other, and be very careful that they don't attach themselves like this one did to the fun foam, because then you're going to have a problem. And we're using Blackberry Bliss. Okay, so for some reason, I am hung up on Blackberry Bliss these days. It's a color I don't often use, but all of a sudden, every time I go to design a card, I reach for Blackberry Bliss. Hopefully you like Blackberry Bliss, or I'm convincing you that you like Blackberry Bliss. One or the other. And then I used Bark. This is one of the new 3D embossing folders in the annual catalog. I've shared this one with you before. It is the old world paper on steroids, because the impressions are much denser than they were on the old world paper. So we're going to layer that on our card front. And again, I stayed very consistent on this project to repeating the colors. I didn't bring in, you know, a third color. I guess on the sunflower card I did, where I used the cinnamon cider for the center. And I used the layering circles to get where we're going to put our greeting. I'm going to go ahead and get my little bird attached here, because again, one could not remember to use the adhesive sheets. However, the folks that are taking the beach class will be happy to know that I did remember to put the adhesive sheets on the back of your letters that spell out beach. So you can choose to use the adhesive sheet backing, or you can go ahead and add some glue to it if you want the option to be able to slide it around a little bit. Which sometimes is a benefit, all right? If you don't get it lined up perfectly, like I'm struggling with Mr. Bird here, then you like that ability to move it around. All right, so I'm going to let him sit over here. Whoops, just flew away, guys. Sit over here and dry. And then I'm going to bring in dot markers again. So these stamps are great for using your Stampin' Write markers on them. We have soft suede. And again, let me repeat that this works with the Stampin' Write markers only, not the blends. One of my upcoming articles in my Tuesday tip newsletter next month will be about Stampin' Write markers. And if we have the blends, why do we need the Stampin' Write markers? This is just one of the reasons that you want to have both types of these coloring tools. Yes, we do, ma'am. Yes, we have. Since I've been a demonstrator, we've had that glue. And that will be 18 years in August. Which, you know, is really hard to believe when I signed up for the discount and was getting out in 3 months. It's a long 3 months ago. All right, so if you remember on Tuesday, when I was showing you how to do this branch, when you die cut it, goes the other direction, right? So this would be one where you might want to flip it over or cut two, have a branch that goes to the left. And then if you flip it over onto what would be the back side, you could have a branch going to the right. So you'd mount one going this direction and then one with what would be the top of it facing down on another piece. So you had two different branches, and that way you would have the option to go either direction. I'm going to bring our little bird in, and he is going to go on there with, he's got glue on his little foot, with dimensional. I never grabbed the same dimensional backings twice for some reason, so we'll trim some more. I think he's cute. He's a cute little bird. Okay, and then I've got some Blackberry Bliss here. And my Just a Note. And my Just a Note stamp comes from the Encircled in Friendship, Encircled in Beauty. One of those two. Encircled in Friendship. For some reason, I always want to say Encircled in Beauty with that one. And this is a good example of where you should not die cut before you stamp. But I did it. I got really lucky on that one. Clean that. We're going to mount that to our Blackberry Bliss circle. And you know what? The other thing I did this morning before it's actually what prompted me to start moving stuff around. I was designing, and the Blackberry Bliss ribbon is in a box across the room. So let me go grab that real quick. And I'm back. Because guess what? We're using Blackberry Bliss on Sunday night too. Oh, I can't stop playing with it. I don't understand why. I'm going to put the ribbon across here a little bit higher. I think that'll work. All right, I'm going to drop it just a half a ribbon. Anybody else do that? Oh yeah? Okay, good. I also don't know my birds. I was a reader. It's why the job that I had, I worked at, oh my goodness, Book of the Month Club. And I don't remember now if it was 19 and a half years or 18 and a half years. It was the perfect job for me because I was a reader growing up. So I was not outside. I was in the house reading most times. That's where you would find me. Of course, my mother is a voracious reader. It's nothing for her to have, 3 books going at one time or more. I don't read nearly as much as I used to, and it's kind of sad. Because when I do find the time to do it, I enjoy it. Okay, we're going to put this on here with, you got it, dimensionals. Bring back in our dimensionals. Don't you wish you were the guy that created dimensionals? Yeah, the bird is really cute, isn't it? I know, I love it. And I know I told you, I think this was a tip, but the reason you see the black lines on the paper backings for most of them is that tells me, okay, when I'm pulling the paper off, I haven't gotten to these two yet, right? Otherwise, I'm trying to pull paper off of something I've already pulled it off of. And it keeps me from putting my fingers down on the tacky, which helps to cause the tacky not to be as tacky when you put it on your project. Yep. One more. Now, when I mount over top of ribbon, I want to find the bottom, right? And the top, because I want it to straddle the ribbon. I don't want to attach this to the ribbon, because if the ribbon comes loose, then everything comes loose. Plus, this helps to hold the ribbon in place. Even though I'm not tacking it to the ribbon, just having it in between the greeting will help hold everything in place. I will see if I get that Blackberry Bliss ribbon back in the tote for Sunday night. All right, and then it just needed a little bling. So I grabbed the Artistry Blooms, I think they're called, Sequins. I love these because they are self-adhesive. So again, whoops, we're gonna put one of the small ones there. I think I use small ones the whole way around on this. Depending upon your layout and how big your spacing is that you want to add. Okay, that did not work. So tip to oneself, do not use the putty end on the sequins, because the putty wanted to stick to the sequin and then it went flying. But anyway, depending on how big the spaces that you're trying to fill in will dictate to you kind of what size you want to use. No, I don't want you up there. I want you there. And I'm going to move this because I don't want them in line. So I'm going to put that the whole way out to the corner. Shoot for triangles when you're applying your dimensionals. There we go. And I do love these because you get a lot of fun colors in those sequins. And I love that they're self-adhesive. I mean, that is always a win in my book. And truthfully, I didn't actually put anything on my Whisper White on the inside. I just left it blank so that I can add something fun later. There's project number 2. Yes, encircled in friendship. That is correct. That is where the greeting is from. I like that greeting. I love that font. I like everything about that. That has, we're actually using it on the next card as well. That has some really nice greetings in it. And I'll show you the die set that goes with that as well then. All right, so that's project number 2. Now I'm moving on. I'm not going to show you any more of my creations with my self-created stamps from the die cuts. But I did want to show you a product. And I think I shared this on my Facebook page when it came out. Thanks, Connie. This is called Art in Bloom. Okay. This is a new product. And you're like, Lori, it's a stamp set. Yes, yes, it is. Cute stamp set. Pretty flowers fill. So it's a 2-step stamp along with your leaves. Thanks for making me happy. You're a rare find, dear friend, and never not loving you. So really nice greetings. I don't know about anybody else, but when I look at this stamp and this, I see a birthday candle. Anybody else see that? Just wondering if it's just my crazy brain. And there's also a die set, Bloom dies, and an embossing folder. And I wish I could tell you the name of the embossing folder, but these 2 pieces come packaged together. So we've never done that before. We've never packaged an embossing folder and a die set literally together, like they were wrapped in a plastic sleeve together. The reason for that is this is what we call a hybrid. And the hybrid is the fact that you have a beautiful, hopefully you can see the image on camera. What can I lay behind it? Probably, no, that won't help. How about this? Can I, oh, there we go. That makes it pop a little bit more. So that is a beautiful background stamp. It's a 3D stamp, so you're going to get a nice deep impression, right? But cards that we just made want to be back on camera. We're going to take this die So you have labels, 2 different labels. This one looks like a ticket stub, which is cool. And then you've got your flowers and your leaves in here. This image, actually, you want to find the side that is not the raised side, right? You want to find the side that is going to, or I might lie. Wait, hold on. I just got it, so I wanted to share it with you. No, I think that was right. That was right. Yeah, well, there we go. We're getting it there. So this actually locks into place in the embossing folder. What that means is you get to die cut and emboss at the same time. Okay, but you do want to make sure it's locked in there. And for some reason, it's not locking as well as it did the other day. So we're going to grab our paper. Way you put your sandwich together is you do exactly what I just did. You lay your cardstock on top of that and you close your embossing folder. Okay. And yes, you do want to make sure your paper is straight. And then this is just like any other 3D sandwich. So I'm going to pull my platform over here because when we do 3D, we take off the thin adapter and we pull in our gray plate, right? So we're going to lay that down. Always, always, always. And I know I say this all the time, but not even an exception for this die. This embossing folder. This embossing folder has to go through first. It can't be in the back and it can't be on the side. That's our sandwich. The base, your embossing folder with the die and the paper inside, and then the gray plate on top. Isn't that pretty? You see all the detail in that? It is a very deep embossing folder, but wait, here comes the magic. Voila. So it die cuts and embosses for you all at the same time. That is pretty cool. It's a time saver for sure. And it is just a phenomenal detail. I mean, seriously, we're going to highlight that detail and that die is locked in there. So, okay, first question is, can we do it with other embossing folders and dies? What if I want a Parisian flower die cut? No, die cut first and then run it through the embossing folder. This is the only one that we currently offer that's called the hybrid that you can do this with. Part of the reason is how deeply etched that outline is around those flowers that this sets down in and locks into place. And there is also a deep impression, not as deep, but an impression around the flowers that you're going to close it down on, right? So that's what protects this portion of the folder from getting cut. Do not do this with your other embossing folders and dies and then call me and say it cut my die or it cut my embossing folder. Yep, it will. It will. So hybrid, Art in Bloom, I believe is the name of it again. And it is really cool. It is really, really cool. So, and I literally did just get it last week. I was concerned about getting it just because I didn't want to confuse people with it and that they would think that you could put your dies into your embossing folders and do that cool trick. It has to be a special hybrid embossing die set. All right, so now let's make a card with that pretty thing. What do you say? Yes, Art in Bloom. And it's kind of hidden in that in our catalog. Like you don't necessarily notice that that's what it does until you actually read about it. So I think that was another reason I didn't gravitate to it right away, because I thought, well, I have folders and flowers and but this is pretty cool. So here's the card I made with it. We're not going to waste this. Why should we waste this? It's pretty all on its own, right? I'm going to use it behind my designer series paper which is the Pattern Party Designer Series paper that is part of your hostess benefits that you can earn with your free hostess dollars, right? So we have a thick Whisper white base. We are going to mount that. I'm not going to worry about putting tape on the inside. First of all, I'm pretty sure I would tear those thin little lines between the flowers. But secondly, the paper's going to go, the designer paper is going to go down over it. So it's not a big deal. I just want to make sure on the sides I have some tape. This layer goes next. So you have that cool embossed edge going the whole way around the designer series paper. We have a greeting. You're in my thoughts. So this is coming out of Encircled Friendship. Encircled in Friendship. Lots of great greetings in here. And then you have the 2 floral images. And then remember, we use these in the catalog launch party. So these are the circles that have all the fancy filigree work around them. Very, very pretty. All right. So yes, the greeting, you're in my thoughts, comes from that. And then my inside greeting is going to come from Happy Thoughts. Okay, is there anybody left that I have not convinced that you need that stamp set? Because I will work on you right now. We're going to stamp the you're in my thoughts in Memento. I guarantee you, and it happens quite often, it's going to be one of those stamps that the minute it retires, people are going to be going, I need that. Does anybody have one that they want to get rid of? All right, so you're in my thoughts, and that's just cut paper. I didn't do any fancy embossing with it or anything else. We are going to highlight our polished pink. No, I'm sorry, this is Magenta Madness. I was going to do it in polished pink, and then I grabbed my Magenta Madness. So I have my craft white ink pad here. And I have a sponge dot. And I'm just going to tap that in the white ink. And I am going to ever so gently rub that across the embossed detail. And again, this is such a deeply embossed piece. It is a perfect image to do this on, because it just highlights all of that. Okay. So you can see both are pretty, but this adds a bit of a highlight. And I do tap my dauber off on my grid paper, just so I'm sure I don't come down with a real heavy amount of white crafting in one spot. Once you've done that, it's kind of hard to move that around. But this is a fun way to add highlight. And I could have done, you could do a different color. I kind of like the white on the pink with the black. I mean, I was again carrying that color theme through, right? I didn't intentionally do all 3 cards like that today, but it's a great way to show you don't need to have a lot of color or colors in your inventory to make a hugely beautiful card. I just made that phrase up. Wasn't really what I was going to say. Happy Thoughts is one of the first stamps I put. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish this card up real quick here, because I'm coming up on my, I'm going to be past my hour, I'm afraid. I try not to absorb your entire morning. And I so appreciate you coming and hanging out with me and liking and commenting and sharing the video. I am going to give away a set of these cards that we made. Oh no, this goes almost dimensional. Set of these cards that we made today for liking, commenting, and sharing. This guy's going to go on with dimensional as well. Then we're going to bring in our black matte dots. I did not know how often I would go for these dots when they came out, but they really are a great accent on so many things. So I used 2 small ones on the tag, and then I'm going to come down here and grab 3 larger ones to put in the center of our flowers. So that is our card front. I'm going to grab my happy thoughts. I'm going to grab the flower set or the flower stamp that coordinates with the embossing folder and die cut, because on the inside, I didn't stamp the greeting in there. I just realized I added a flower and I used the 2-step, and I'm going to use this one right here at the top. What did I just put? Well, I'm going to show you this, and then I'll put a piece of white in there to cover up whatever that is. So here we have just that one flower inked up. Of course, the ink did get over onto the tips of the 2 flowers beside it. So we're just going to wipe that off. Okay. Looks like the center did not come out on this. So let's try a different angle, maybe. There we go. And we're going to put that down. Okay. And then I'm going to grab the Magenta Madness and come in with the 2-step. Line that up. And this again. So a lot of times people will say to me, well, I can't get my stamps to line up. A lot of times Stampin' Up! Goes with the artistic flow, right? So it's not going to line up perfectly for you. And that's okay. That is okay. And then I am going to put in, and I'll just, like I said, I'll put a layer of Whisper White in here and redo this part, but just to finish it off. Put in Happy Thoughts stamp. Just wanted to send some happy thoughts your way. And we'll do this one while I have it open so that whoever wins the cards for liking, commenting, and sharing will have a completed card. There we go. So the 3 cards today, guys. 2, we used our own stamps that we created from the die cuts, right? And this last one was with the new hybrid embossing and die cutting. Oh, thank you guys. I'm so glad you liked it. Yeah, I really like that one too. But I also, like you and Stacy, Janine, I also like the pink and black. So those are what we're giving away. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and love. And don't forget to get your order in to get the Just Cards this month, right? So minimum $25 product order on my website with this host code, or you can call me and I can place the order for you. You will receive those 5 Just Cards that I've been sharing with you all month. All right, I will be back on Sunday night at 8 with a couple of fun cards, and I'll have a sneak peek of something that's coming up in July. I can't believe it's July next month, guys. How did that happen? I really don't know. But anyway, it certainly is. Until then, Have a great weekend. Celebrate your husbands, fathers, brothers, uncles, whatever you got. And I'll see you Sunday night at 8. Take care. Bye.